Well, hi kids, children, adults, grandparents, people of all ages. You might be a cat, you might be a dog, or anything in between, or an inanimate object. Today, I'm going to talk to you about fuzzy little rodents that sometimes have tails and sometimes don't. And actually, no, I would hope that it's not fuzzy, but mice. Because, see, that's one thing that was not covered yet in Peripheral Week that I didn't have an opportunity to do. So now I am doing it. So mice. Mice. Yeah. This is a mouse. This is a mouse. Hold on. This is a mouse. Which I'm throwing away. And this is a mouse. Okay, that was wrong. That was politically incorrect. I apologize. Anyway, there's a couple different types of mice you can buy when you're looking for mice. There's ball mice, which are almost gone now, fortunately. There's optical mice, such as this, which you probably can't see too well, but it has a light. And there's also optical mice that you can't actually see the light, but it's there. And then you have laser mice, which I don't know what this is, if it's a laser mouse or not. Anyway, so there's several different types. Ball mice, pretty much going away, finally, fortunately, because they're annoying. They have the actual ball on the bottom side of the mouse so that it hits the wheels, which turns the wheels, which tell if it's going left, right, up, down, or in a diagonal fashion. Those are fortunately going wayside because they are mechanical, which means they need maintenance. Because anything mechanical needs maintenance. So that means after you use it a while, your ball gets dirty, those wheels get dirty, and all of a sudden, you're trying to move your cursor and it's getting stuck and going bleh, which is why I hate ball mice. Plus, after you've used them for a couple weeks, after a cleaning, it starts to feel gritty when you're moving it around. Can't stand them. I'm glad they're pretty much gone now. What we're left with is optical and laser mice. There's not too much difference between the two. Laser is going to be a little bit more expensive. Laser mice generally are going to be a little bit more sensitive, which means that it'll be more sensitive to noticing a slight bit of movement on your mouse than an optical will be. And they'll be more precise. And for gamers out there, laser mice will probably be better for you because of the sensitivity. However, for everyday use, laser probably won't make a difference for you. And in fact, laser may annoy you because it'll be too sensitive and you'll have to tone it down a little bit. Laser mice probably work a little bit better on various surfaces than optical will. Optical does not like really dark surfaces sometimes, and they don't like very smooth surfaces, and they don't like shiny surfaces too well. Laser, I think, gets around most of those kinds of problems. I believe on laser mice, I could be wrong, but I believe you don't actually see a light underneath it. Hold on. Now, you have the choice of getting a mouse that's wired or a mouse that's not wired. The mouse will normally connect by means of USB or Bluetooth, if wireless, or PS2, which is also starting to disappear. I discussed PS2, I believe, in my keyboards video as well. Normally, a mouse connector on PS2, and this is just a normally, not always, doesn't have to be. Normally you'll see is the green connector on the back of your computer if you have it as PS2. But most of them nowadays are going to be USB. If you're going wireless, depending on what kind of wireless you're getting, could depend on what it looks like. This mouse here has a wireless receiver which plugs into USB, so you still technically aren't wireless because you guys still connect something to your computer in order to use it. However, this would just plug into your computer and then it transmits wirelessly to the mouse. Some of these have an extension cable so you can extend the range out more. And then you can have Bluetooth wireless mice, which don't require something like that unless your computer doesn't support Bluetooth, in which case you have to have a Bluetooth adapter, which I think I also talked about previously also. But anyway, this would be a Bluetooth mouse, this Apple Magic Mouse here, which is really sweet, although it feels kind of weird on your hand and it's so flat, but it's cool, which is what Apple does. Another thing to look for in mice is DPI, which again, don't think of it as resolution per se. Think of it more as how many snapshots of mouse movement are you getting when you move the mouse around. An optical mouse will be 400, 800 DPI. Some of them will be 1,000 or a little bit more. Laser mice are typically probably 2,000 DPI. And basically all that is sensitivity. How many frames is it catching? Like if you're watching a movie, for example, you know how it goes in frames. How many of those frames is it seeing in a second? And so the higher the DPI, basically, the more of those frames it's seeing in a second. Which in turn means more sensitivity to slight movements and jiggles and such. Another thing I look for on your mouse is how does it feel on your hand? That's an important one, especially if you're using it a lot. Is this mouse jarring your hand? Do you have to squeeze your hand like this to use it? Or does it rest comfortably on your hand? Is there good supports for, or rests rather, for your fingers? Is it ergonomical or is it not ergonomical? Are you right-handed or left-handed? Because like this mouse here, it's ergonomical, sure, but you aren't going to probably be using it if you're left-handed. It's not going to probably work out too well. You probably theoretically could. It'd feel weird. Another thing to look at is what color is your mouse. Some people that's important to them. Others it's not. If it doesn't match your system or not, that's really kind of a silly nonsense one. It's up to you. How many buttons are on the mouse? That's an important one for some of us. Some mouse only have 2 buttons. Some of them have 8 buttons or more. This mouse here has left click, right click, and a scroll wheel, which you can go up and down with. And you can also click the wheel, of course, to scroll. And then also it's got the left and right scrolling. With the scroll wheel you can actually push right and left, which do other various scrolling techniques. This mouse over here has more buttons. It has left click, right click, it has the wheel. It doesn't go sideways, but it's got the wheel. It's got a cruise button up and a cruise button down, which means that it will, when you push that cruise button up, it'll scroll up a line, and when you push that cruise button down, it'll scroll down a line without even having to touch the wheel, which I use a lot. And this one has another button that of which I've never used, although the button still wore off now, but button that you can switch back and forth between windows. However, I believe you gotta have the software for this mouse installed to do that. I don't, so because I don't like having overhead. And also on the side of this mouse, which is probably the most used buttons on this thing, it has a back and a forward button on it. So instead of having to like open a window and clicking in and then going back and forward up here, I don't even have to move my mouse up there. I just push the button right on the mouse and away we go. Then, if you have an Apple product, such as a a more recent one that's got Bluetooth in it, a Magic Mouse here, which is Apple's latest and greatest rodent. It's Bluetooth, and as you can see, it looks like it's just a soap bar, doesn't it? It looks like a soap bar, but there is left click and right click, and it's multi-touch actually, so you can actually run your finger up and down this like there's a scroll wheel there, and it'll scroll. And then you can also do gestures with it, like swinging, putting 2 fingers and going left to go back, and 2 fingers going that way will go go forward instead of back. And it's got a couple probably other things I'm forgetting to mention about it, but kind of nifty if you own a Mac. I don't know, maybe it would work on a PC. I've never experimented with a Bluetooth PC to see if it would even work on one. But anyway. Of course, the problem you have if you go with wireless mouse, although it's convenient and you can use from longer distance, or longer distances rather, etc., is of course batteries. Some of these wireless mice are rechargeable and you can place on a stand to charge them. Some of them use actual batteries that you got put in, which is what these do. This uses a, I believe it's a 1AA. Yep, this mouse here uses 1AA. But you'd be surprised because the 1AA in this thing will last 6 to 8 months. Likewise for this Magic Mouse, I think it uses 2 batteries, but it lasts about 6 to 8 months, and so do most modern wireless mice will last that long, unlike the old days where they'd last a couple of weeks and you'd have to replace batteries. Anyway, just test the mouse out that you want. Make sure it's going to work for what you want. Make sure it feels good on your hand, if that's important to you. Make sure it's got the features you want. If you're a gamer, make sure it's got the quality and the precision that you want. Some of those fancier gaming mice will even have weights you can add to them. And some mice are pretty and light up. Some of them, I've even heard of a couple before that have a fan built in them to keep your hand nice and cool while your hand's on it. I'm not sure how well the mouse actually works long term, but it sounds good in idea, or in theory rather. Anyway, I'm impressed that I was able to talk this long about mice, but this is Nerd and Gong. It is election night. If you want to vote, go out and vote. If you're here in the US of A. But anyway, I do approve this message, but I'm not running for anything, but you can write me in if you'd like. I don't know what you want to write me in for, other than trouble. Anyway, this is Nerd and Gong, and I approve this message. Stay out of trouble. And, till the next episode, goodbye.